Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a good day. In May, it's getting warm here, so that's exciting. Um, I'm excited about our webinar today. We have Tracy, Gwyneth, and Megan talking about the 4-H FCS Bowl. It's going to be a new contest we introduced this summer, so I'm excited about that, and it goes along with the consumer decision making contest. So if you already have youth doing consumer decision making, it's time to just get them ready for the FCS Bowl, and they're going to talk to you about that today. And a commercial for next week. So next week we'll also have another webinar Wednesday with Sam Lawman, and she's going to be talking about getting ready for your fairs and achievement days. So I'll send a reminder out about that Monday. So I'm going to turn it over to Tracy and Gwyneth and Megan.
All right. Hey guys. So, like Megan said, we're going to talk about the FCS Bowl, starting the rules, resources, and rollout for this. So, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Tracy Trosted, the A&R agent from Nelson County. So, why the FCS Bowl and why we want to start and bring it back? Gwyneth and I had the opportunity this year that when we took our CDM team, which is the picture on the left, to nationals. We also got the opportunity to participate in the FCS Bowl as the first team from North Dakota, and it was a great experience. They did very well. This contest, I think, is one we can easily adapt into North Dakota, and it gives youth more opportunity and more chances to compete in contests and even go to nationals and earn trips there.
Hi everyone, I'm Gwyneth Wheeler. I'm the administrative assistant and 4-H program assistant in Nelson County, and I'll get into some of the contest rules. So before the Quiz Bowl rounds begin, teams will complete a written exam made up of 25 questions taken from the Consumer Decision Making Study Guide. Those scores will be used to seed teams and determine the order of play for the Quiz Bowl portion of the contest. Teams can have either 3 or 4 members, but if a team only has 3 members, then they will forfeit the 4th seat question during the one-on-one round.
Hello, I'm Megan Vig, and I am the Ag and Natural Resources Agent in Steele County. Going back, I guess, to why FCS Bowl, I was on the right hand, as part of the group on the right hand of the pictures on that slide. I had a team go in 2024 or 5. I'm blanking out on that. But that was the first time that the contest got switched down to Texas. Previously, it was held in Colorado during the National Western Livestock Show. And so, that being my first time, I tried to take everything in, and I did go and sit in during the FCS Bowl, and I watched teams compete. And I was a little bit jealous because I was like, oh, my group of 4-Hers would have done awesome at this. And so I'm glad Tracy had asked me to talk about the FCS Bowl because it does allow for more opportunities for our youth to shine. So, questions part of the contest rules. There are 3 types of questions. One-on-one questions. These are they're given to a designated member of either team, and that member may respond during, or it's given to a designated member of either team. Either team may respond during the first half of the round. This is the one-on-one competition. And so, example, player one on both teams would be eligible to answer that particular question. Like what Gwyneth had said, if a team only has 3 members, they do forfeit the 4th player question. And so a team with 4 players would only be eligible to ask that question during the one-on-one question portion. There's also toss-up questions, and so that's open for any response by any member. Then there's bonus questions. Bonus questions are attached to a selected toss-up question, and they're open to any team member that won the toss-up question. So anyone can answer from that team that won up the toss-up question. No part of the bonus question may be repeated or additional information given to the contestants. Question types can be multiple choice, fill in the blank, open-ended, and true and false.
So the next part of the contest rules, or the contest procedure, how the game structure works of the actual quiz bowl part of it is it's consisted of rounds that are divided into half. So for the first round, we're Team A versus Team B. The first half will be one-on-one questions that player one and player two from Team A and Team B will go up against each other. And then the second half will be those toss-up questions. The time requirements for this is that for each round that's divided into halves, each half is based on time frame. So it can be either 8 minutes long or a max of 20 questions, whichever ends up coming first. Once the question is said, contestants have 5 seconds to buzz in, and once buzzed in, they have an additional 5 seconds to begin answering the question after being recognized by the moderator. If the buzzer is hit while the question is being read, the moderator will immediately stop where they are at in the question, and the contestant has 5 seconds to answer.
The scoring for the contest is pretty straightforward. All questions, including the one-on-one, toss-up, and bonus questions, are worth 2 points for a correct answer, and the teams lose 1 point if for an incorrect answer. Bonus questions work a little differently because they're only worth team points, and there's no penalty for getting them wrong. For one-on-one and toss-up questions, if no one buzzes in within the 5-second time limit, then no points are gained or lost, and the moderator will move on to the next question. At the end of the round, the team with the highest score wins, and if there's a tie, additional toss-up questions will be used until one team gains the advantage.
All right, so how do you win FCS Bowl? It depends on how many teams are competing. So if there's 5 teams or less that enter into the contest, it's double elimination. If we have more than 6 teams or more, it will just be single elimination. The first and second place teams will be determined in the final round, and so that would be a lot like everyone's allowed to watch that, and we would encourage people to observe that. So that'd be your first and second place teams would be determined by the final round. Subsequent team placings will be determined by the average of the team's test scores. So go into that initial test, and then the team scores acquired in rounds of competition. And so we will be needing to track how many points are earned for each team during each round. Seeding test score is used as a tiebreaker.
And then individual placings. Not only does the team compete for a award as a group, but the individuals can too. So participants are ranked on their scores that they took in their tests, and then they're also they also get points based on how they answered during the quiz bowl part of it too. They get a specific amount of points if they answered correctly and whatnot.
So like Megan kind of said, the contest could be ran as either single or double elimination, depending on the number of teams participating. In a double elimination format, teams that lose twice will be eliminated from the contest. First and second place teams are determined during the final round of competition. The remaining team placings are based on a combination of written test scores and scores earned during the quiz bowl rounds. If teams are still tied after that, the written exam score will be used as the tiebreaker.
Okay, so rules and procedures of FCS bowl play. The first half of the round, again, is that one-on-one questions like I had talked about earlier. The moderator indicates which two contestants are eligible to respond. So they'll say Chair A or Chair 1. This is your question. This first half of the round shall consist of 20 one-on-one questions or 8 minutes, whichever is completed first. Only one member of each team is eligible to respond to a question. The moderator indicates which two contestants are eligible to respond before reading each question, and each question is addressed to only one team member, beginning with the team captain and progressing with subsequent questions to number 2, 3, and 4 contestants. If a team loses 2 points, or the team will lose 2 points if a contestant other than the designated contestant responds with the buzzer or verbally. So it's very important that even though you have somebody who knows the answer and they want to ring in, that they only ring in when it is their turn to ring in. And if a contestant responds more than twice to questions like that, where they're anxious and they want to ring in, that contestant may be dismissed from the round, and remainder of the match will be played with less than an entire team. So you would be down a chair of a contestant.
The second half of the rounds is where they have the toss-up questions. So the moderator will begin reading the toss-up question, and then they'll indicate if a bonus question is attached. If the answer is incorrect for the toss-up question, the question is not repeated for the other team. The bonus question is attached to the correctly answered toss-up question, and the moderator will read the bonus question, and the team may use up to 10 seconds to discuss the answer. So if they don't answer the toss-up question correctly, they don't get a chance at the bonus one. But that bonus question will still be transferred to the next toss-up question.
Okay, protests. So teams are allowed to make protests during the contest, but there's a couple specific procedures that need to be followed with them. Protests can only be made by the team captain or coach, and they must happen right when the question is read or immediately after an answer is given. Once the moderator declares the winner of the round, no more protests can be made. Each team is limited to 2 protests during the contest. If protest is made, the contest officials will pause, play, and review the question or rule before they make a final decision.
All right, so that was all national rules and contest information. We are going to adapt it because we want to make sure that when we send a team to the national contest that they're not going to be, oh, that rule is different from our North Dakota rules. So North Dakota rules are going to mimic the national rules. And going to our North Dakota FCS Bowl contest, it will be held the day before our state consumer decision making contest. And so that is August 4th. It will also be at the Bismarck Public Schools Career Academy. So that is where CDM will also take place. And we're going to start at 1 p.m. with registration beginning at 12:30, and probably going to find that registration piece through 4-H Online. That will be worked out, but sounds like CDM is going to be transitioning to registering their teams and their participants on 4-H Online. And to be consistent, we would like to do the same. I just have a map up. If you were at fall conference at Bismarck State College last fall in October, the Bismarck Public Schools Career Academy is not too far from where we had our fall conference.
Awesome. So like Megan said, right now we're going to go over the North Dakota rules, which is pretty much exactly the same, but we just want to go over the rules one more time, since this is a new contest. That way everyone understands what's going on. Also, for the state FCS Bowl contest, we do not have an entry fee, but you'll still register through 4-H Online. So, like we said earlier, teams can be consisted of 3 or 4 members. If the team only has 3 members or contestants, then there'll be a fourth or an open chair on the panel, which really, if you only have 3, you're really missing out. You can still compete, but then you don't get a chance during the one-on-one questions. That fourth seat, which you have empty, but the team will have full, they automatically get that option to answer it because you don't have anyone in the fourth seat. So it's more beneficial to the other team. So we really recognize, or um, we really want you to try and create a full team of 4, even if you need to join with other counties. And then only one coach is recognized for each team, but you still can have more than one coach. It's just when you go to sign up, there's only one coach recognized.
So, like I kind of talked about earlier, before teams begin the actual Quiz Bowl competition, all contestants will complete a written exam. The exam consists of 25 questions and 1 essay question based on the contest reference materials. Contestants will have 1 hour to complete the test. The combined scores from the written exam are used to seed teams for the Quiz Bowl bracket, which means higher scores can help teams get a better starting position in the competition. And the essay questions may also be used as a tiebreaker for individual placings if needed.
So each quiz bowl round has 2 halves. The first half of the round again is one-on-one questions. So it's super important that if you're getting a team prepared, having 4 members. So if you do have a 3-member team, you are not losing out on that fourth question, that fourth seat question.
The second half of the round is toss-up questions. Those are ones that anyone from each team can answer. It's just whichever side buzzes in first. Bonus questions, again, are attached to selected toss-up questions, and they're also open to any member of the team that won the toss-up question. The bonus question is not repeated, additional information is not given, and if they didn't get the toss-up question right, then they do not get a chance for the bonus question.
Okay, so before I ask that question, any questions, I do see Rita, you have your hand raised.
I do. So on the written test, is it the same? Is it multiple choice, fill in the blank, true and false, or are they just one format? I'm asking Tracy this ask because the kids would know that did it last year.
Yep, it went multiple choice,
Multiple choice. Okay.
but with the essay question too, which
Yes,
was,
thank you.
yes.
And that makes it pretty easier for us to get those graded in time because we will have to have a period of time where we're taking all the exams, we're grading them while these 4-Hers are in a holding room because we don't want them necessarily visiting with each other and before we know which team how they're going to be seated in the brackets. Okay, so we have some questions for our audience. Does anyone have experience with any other quiz bowls like livestock or hippology? And we ask that because if you're in the audience, we'd love to find out if maybe we're missing any big areas that we should address before we get this started in terms of the rules. Because while we do want to mimic the national rules, if there's been occurrences in the past with livestock or hippology, where there could be a hole or a gap in our rules, that we want to prevent it before it happens. Feel free to unmute or put anything in the chat. I'll just keep an eye out on that. But if no one has any experiences that they want to offer up or they want to share it with us later, that is certainly they can do that. As far as FCS Quiz Bowl, are there any questions for us?
I wanted to mention I was a hippology coach for Montreal County, and our kids did the horse bowl. And it's been a few years, but I feel like you guys have really covered anything I can think of right now. I may have missed something. Where exactly do the questions come from? Could you explain that again?
Yeah, actually, I think we missed that. Thank you, Mindy. So for this year, at the state FCS Bowl, we're going to use the 3 study guides that are given to us from Megan's crew. And so there's those agents that help put those study guides together. I think she also has some grad students. And off the top of my head, I'm only thinking of milk alternatives, um, and bedroom furniture and athletic shoes.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
Megan, go ahead. You're muted.
Yeah, athletic shoes, milk alternatives, and bedroom furniture. I'll type that in the chat box too. And those study guides have been posted since before Christmas too. So those are out there.
So, Mindy, we're going to use those study guides as the basis for asking questions for this year. And then for future years, referencing the national contest material is our plan. Right, Tracy?
That's what we're hoping to do. The national contest uses the same materials that they use for their national CDM contests, and they usually they pick a set of materials. They have a lot more study guides, but they pick a set of study guides and keep those for several years before they change out them. So that's what we're hoping to do. Great question, Lynette. So I have made a Teams. Well, I'll get to that part. The study guide for FCS Quiz Bowl will be in the Google Drive. We will be making a new folder for the contest and be putting information in there. We also forgot to say for this year only, since it is a trial, kind of a trial run, and we want to make sure it goes smooth, only seniors can compete. Next year, once we have a better grasp on things and we can see how well everything goes and know exactly how many volunteers, then we'll open it up to juniors. But for this year, we want to do just seniors. Does anyone have any suggestions or anything that they think could be of help to us? And now we're asking you guys for some help. We are looking for some volunteers. We're looking for anyone to help us run the contest. We need room hosts, scorekeepers, tabulation helpers. You're still allowed to compete with a team too. Also people to help us with materials and coming up with practice questions. We do have a Teams team for that. And everyone who had been to Megan and I's spring conference presentation that indicated that they wanted to help out, I have added them to the teams. But if anyone else is wanting to help, we can put that in there too, or put you on that team too. And yeah, that's kind of what we looking for help. And yeah, any questions so far?
I just have a comment. So I'd like to encourage you guys to all do that, but do the consumer decision making contest too. Because if they learned the study guides for one event, they should know them for both events and do really well. And I know we have a lot of study guides and a lot of time put into developing them, and most of the kids don't seem to read them prior to the events. So I think this will be a good way to get the youth more involved in using the study guides for the events and prepare them for both. Like I said, I was there the year between Megan and Tracy, that's when Cass was there. And it was like, I came home from that, this like, this is ridiculous that we're not in that contest, right? So I called Tracy and said, Tracy, can you team do that? Because it's the same learning knowledge. And I think it's just a good way to have another national event for the FCS side of the 4-H program. So I'm going to encourage everyone to have a team there.
Yes, I would encourage if you're doing one, please do the other. That also reminds me of another thing that we needed to say is that our contest is on August 4th. The CDM contest, correct, Melissa, is on August 5th. While our contest is on August 4th, starting at 1 p.m., our awards will be with CDM Awards on August 5th.
I just want to clarify it because I think this is correct, Megan Hoffman. Right now, we don't have state funding for the national trip for Quiz Bowl. That's correct, right?
Right, yeah, like the 4-H Foundation allots money for this, and so there's the $1,000 that the team receives to travel. Didn't you get that when you went?
Yep, for CDM.
Yeah. So there's just that right now.
So Quiz Bowl, there's no funding at the current time for the nationals. So that would have to be self raised funding.
Right. If they want to go to the national contest, or it could be the same team, like Tracy, the same team to win both and go. But yes, there's no $1,000 set aside for it.
Yes, when North Dakota starts a new contest, it needs to be held for 3 years before there gets to be state funding for it. So, yep, the first 3 times, the winners would be able to go to nationals, would be on their own for completely funding all of it. But all of our 4-Hers are so good and used to fundraising, they can do it.
And are nationals still in Texas or are they back in Denver?
They're still in Texas in January.
I looked this morning, the date is January 13th through the 15th for 2027. And the national site doesn't have any information up right now because I looked to see because they're changing the national contest study guides this year.
The other thing that you will not find on there is the rules and guidelines and what to expect for the 2027 FCS Bowl. Thankfully, I think they just updated that website to take it down from 2026, but I had to save the files for before they took them down. So that is what I shared at the beginning of this call. That used to be on their webpage, and I'm going to share the link for their webpage with you guys as well.
There's a question in the box from Tori. Are y'all going to prepare practice materials for the FCS Bowl?
Yes, we will have some practice questions available that teams can practice with.
I will say though, if you are hoping for like hundreds and hundreds of questions, no. I would say like probably 30 questions will, just because it's only coming from 3 practice guides. When we transition to nationals where there's 12 practice or study guides, just more material for a wealth of questions can be generated, but practice not so many, but we were trying to figure out how many questions we need to come up with, and we're shooting for 300 to run the contest, which could be somewhat challenging. I'm being pragmatic and I'm calling it challenging when you only have 3 study guides to pull from.
Megan, I think it will be fine.
Hey Rita, you want to help us write some questions?
Well, yeah, see, I have figured out how to do that. So we'll talk to you later.
All right, are there any other questions? Yes, feel free once this recording is available. You can sure send it out to your CDM coaches because the more the merrier that know about it, and the more volunteers from your guys' counties that are able to coach it for you is awesome. So
Tracy, did you say that you are gonna create a Google Drive? Because I'm just thinking, do you want to have that and send that out with the recording, or what are y'all's thoughts about that?
Yeah, we can. Well, we can, and it'll be like in your guys's, the one that's already available. It'll just be an additional folder of the FCS bowl. I can put some of the materials in it just for the most part right now. We have some of the questions made up, but not probably all of them. We still need to go through which ones we can use for practice and not.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for doing this today. I really appreciate that. Is there any more questions for them? Okay, well then don't forget next week, May the 20th is Sam Lawman talking about county fairs and achievement days, and I'll remind you about that on Monday. So try to send this recording out maybe Friday this week. All right, thank you everybody. Have a good Wednesday.